Welcome back, students. So we have just finished the derivation of length of belt drives for both open belt drive as well as cross belt drive. I've told you to do the cross belt drive with the sketch and the derivation as an assignment. Okay. So now continuing with that, we will see some of the major differences between open belt drive and a cross belt drive. Some of them we have already discussed when I was explaining what is open belt drive and cross belt drive, but we'll just go through these points here. So first point is, an open belt drive is a belt drive in which the belt proceeds from the top of one pulley to the top of another pulley without crossing. Right. So the top of the belt will pass through the top of the driver pulley and then goes to the top of the driven pulley without crossing over. Okay. But whereas in the case of cross belt drive, it is a belt drive in which the belt proceeds from the top of one pulley and then to the bottom of the another and crosses over itself. Okay, so you got the difference. So in open belt drive, the belt will pass from top to the top of the driven pulley, whereas in cross belt drive, from top of the driver pulley, it will go to the bottom of the driven pulley and then it will cross over itself. And anyways, in both the cases, the driving shaft as well as the driven shaft are parallel. Second point, in an open belt drive, both driving and driven pulleys rotate in the same direction. This is a major difference. In open belt drive, both driving and driven pulleys will be rotating in the same direction, whereas in cross belt drive, the driving and driven pulleys will be rotating in the opposite direction. Okay. Next, in cross belt drive, the angle of wrap is more. Right? You would have observed this also. In case of open belt drive, since it is connecting from top to top and then from bottom to bottom, and in case of cross belt drive, it is crossing over, right? It is coming from the bottom, it completely covers the driven pulley and then again comes on this side. So if you see, the angle of wrap is more. If you can realize this in the case of the derivation, in one case it was the arc what you have considering BC, and on the other side it is DE. So if you see, in one case of open belt drive, it was pi by 2 plus phi, but on the other side of the driven pulley it is pi by 2 minus phi. But in case of cross belt drive, if you can see, it is pi by 2 plus phi and pi by 2 plus phi on both sides. That means angle of wrap is more in case of cross belt drive. Therefore, the power transmitting capacity of the cross belt drive is more than that of open belt drive. So cross belt drive can transmit more power when compared with open belt drive. Okay, but you can see in this point, in cross belt drive, the belt rubs against itself while crossing, right? Because there is a crossing over taking place, one coming from the top and other one coming from the driving and another one coming from driven. So there is a chance that it will rub against each other. Okay, so in that case, the belt has to bend in two different places. Therefore, the factor of increases in the case of wear, and the life of the belt will reduce. So because of this crossing over, as I told you, there will be chance of wear and the reduction in life of the belt. So even though the power transmission is more, the life of the belt will reduce. Okay. In open belt drives, when the center distance is more, the belt will whip. So what is whipping? Whipping means there will be possibility of vibration in the direction perpendicular to the direction of motion. Okay, when the length is more, there is a chance that there will be vibration taking place. Okay, when the center distance is small, the belt slip increases. There is a chance that slippage will occur. What is slip? I will tell you later. Anyways, we will have to study slip. So both these factors will limit the use of open belt drive. Cross belt drive will not have these limitations, but overall, if you see, the length of, the application of open belt drive is more common compared to cross belt drive. Okay, again, obviously it depends on the requirement. Whenever you want the pulleys to be rotating in opposite direction, you will have to use cross belt drive, and in the same direction, if you want, you will have to use open belt drive. Okay, depends on the application, but these are some of the differences. Just in case if there is a question asked on differentiate between open belt drive and cross belt drive, you will have to write these points. with respect to open belt drive and cross belt drive, whatever points we have discussed. One is being in the same direction and opposite direction, then the wear and tear can be more, which has more power transmitting capacity and all that. Okay, so these are some of the points associated with the previous open belt drive as well as cross belt drive. Okay, so next we will go for some of the another important parts in belt drives. One is velocity ratio, another one is slip in belts, another one is creep in belts. So three things we have to cover now. So first we will see what do you mean by velocity ratio. So we have been finding velocity ratios right from gears, isn't it? So in gear also we have found the velocity ratio. Then we saw the velocity ratio in gear trains, simple gear train as well as compound gear train, and similarly it will be same here also, velocity ratio in the case of belt drives. So what is velocity ratio? It is the ratio of the velocity between the driver pulley and the driven pulley, right? In gears also it is the same case. So it is a ratio between the velocity of driver pulley and the driven pulley. So length of the belt that passes over the driver in 1 minute, okay, that is a circumferential velocity that is given by pi d1 n1. Okay, so that is equal, similarly the length of the belt that passes over the follower, that is the driven pulley, in 1 minute can be taken as pi d2 n2. So we know that if there is no slippage that is taking place in case of belt and the pulley, then the speed at every point of the belt should be same. Therefore we can equate the length of the belt passing over the driver to the length of the belt passing over to the driven. So that will be equal to pi d1 n1 will be equal to pi d2 n2. Okay, so length of the belt that passes over the driver in 1 minute is equal to the length of the belt passes over through the follower in 1 minute. Okay, assuming there's one condition, assuming that there is no slip taking place in the belt, then the speeds have to be same. Okay, so pi d1 n1 should be equal to pi d2 n2. Okay, so that means pi d1 n1 is equal to that point is missed here, that is, missed in the sense they have directly written the velocity ratio. So pi d1 n1 is equal to pi d2 n2, right? So pi and pi will be cancelled. So d1 n1 will be equal to d2 n2. In other words, n1 by n2 is equal to d2 by d1. Okay, so that is the velocity ratio. So you should remember this formula also. For velocity ratio, the belt is all equal to n1 by n2 is equal to d2 by d1. So I hope you know what it is. N1 is the speed of the driver pulley, n2 is the speed of the driven pulley, d2 is the diameter of the driven pulley, and d1 is the diameter of the driver pulley. Okay, now if we consider the thickness of the belt, we have not considered the thickness of the belt, isn't it? We are only considering the speed of the pulleys and diameter of the pulleys. If we also have to consider the thickness of the pulley along with the diameter of the pulley, then it will be diameter of the pulley plus the thickness of the belt. So in that case, n1 by n2 should be equal to d2 plus t divided by d1 plus t, because thickness will be same throughout for driver pulley as well as for driven pulley. So if there is considerable thickness, we will also have to consider the thickness of the belt. So then n1 by n2 will be equal to d2 by d1, but considering the thickness. So d2 will be d2 plus t divided by d1 plus t. Okay. Next, creep in belts. We have not come across this term now, because till now we have assumed that, or whatever I was explaining, it was something like there are two pulleys and there is a belt on top of that. So belt will be running over the pulleys, so it will be transmitting power from one end to other end. But there are certain limitations in the case of belt drives. That is, one of them is called creep and another one is called slip in belts. Okay, so what do you mean by creep now? So when a belt passes from slack side to tight side, a certain portion of the belt will get extended, and when it passes from tight side to slack side, it gets contracted. Okay, what I'm trying to say here is, so you know that the belt which is connected from the driver pulley. Okay, that is from the driver pulley. When it is going to the driven pulley, that side is called as slack side. I'm talking about open belt drive. Okay, so that side is called as slack side. What do you mean by slack side? Slack side means there it will not be very tight, it will be slightly looser. Why it is made looser? Because we want more arc of contact. Okay, so let me just show you the sketch. I'll just go back to that open belt drive and show you the sketch. Okay, so in this case you can see this portion, this portion is called as slack side and this portion is called as tight side. Okay, now what is happening is, if I want more arc of contact, that means more portion of the belt to be covering the driver side, then because I have to more the arc of contact, more power can be transferred, isn't it? So what will happen if I make this as very tight? That means if I try to stretch it and connect it to the driven pulley, then the arc of contact will be less, isn't it? Just think over that. So suppose if I tend to pull it from here tightly, so possibly that it will end here and then it will be very tight and connected over here, right? Instead of that, if I make it a little loose, what will happen? If I make the length a little more like this, loose, then what will happen? The arc of contact will be more here, isn't it? That's why it's called as slack side. Got it? That's why it's called as slack side. So that more arc of contact will be there. Similarly, on the bottom side, if you consider, this part will be called as tight side. Why it should be tight? Here it should be like little loose, as I told you, but here it should be very tight. Again, the same concept here, to increase the arc of contact. Now what will happen? Here if I make it loose, then what will happen? It will come down from here, it will be loose and it will have contact somewhere here. Got it? If it loose, what will happen? If it will be sagging here, right, it will be loose. Okay, so what will happen in that case? So a arc of contact will be less here as well as it will be less here. So that should not be the case. So what we are doing is, here we are doing a slack side, so that more arc of contact will be there on either side, so that more possibility will be there, more contact will be there, sorry. So down when you come, you make it tight, so that again it will have more contact. More tight means it will be connecting here only. Loose means it will go down and it may connect here, right? So that's why it's called as slack side and tight side. Now what will happen in the case of creep here is, so because of this portion here, slack side, when it suddenly goes from here and enters to the tight side, there will be a sudden stretching of that taking place, isn't it? Because it was still there, it was loose, and then suddenly when it is going through the tight side, from slack side to tight side, there is a automatically stretching will take place of the belt. And same way, when it is coming from tight side, that is from here, from tight side to again going towards slack side, it will again contract because that stretch won't be there. It was stretching, then it is will being released. So every rotation when the belt will be passing through that, there will be alternatively stretching from one side and there will be contraction from the other side, right? One side will become tight, that is stretching, force will be there, and one time it will become loose. So this alternate stretching and contraction will result in creep. Okay, so now I hope you could understand what I was saying. So when the belt passes from the slack side to the tight side, a certain portion of the belt will extend, and when it passes from the tight side to slack side, again it will contract. So what will happen? At one point it gets stretched and one point it will get contracted. So every time that's happening, so there will be a continuous of force acting on that. Once it will be stretching and once it will be loosening up. Again stretching, again loosening. So because of this phenomenon, there will be a chance that there may be a relative motion between belt and the pulley. That should not happen, isn't it? That is called as creep. There should not be relative motion between belt and the pulley. I hope you understand. The belt has to continuously being circulated over the pulley. If the pulley is rotating but the belt is not rotating, understand, that is called as creep now. And that is occurring because of this phenomenon, whatever I explained. I hope you understand, right? Suppose you just imagine that, try to figure out what I'm saying. The pulley is rotating and belt is on top of that, but belt is not rotating along with the pulley. There may be some pulley is moving but belt is not moving, right? So that will be causing the loss of power, because pulley is rotating, belt is not able to rotate along with that. Every time there will be slipping between belt and pulley. So that relative motion should not be there. That is called as creep. And of course, creep will result in the loss of power and of course decrease in velocity ratio. So that process is called as creep. Now there is a similar concept along with creep, that is called as slip. This is also same. Ultimately what is happening here is also same, but the method of the application is different. In creep, why it is happening? Because of whatever I have explained. Now what do you mean by slip? We have to see. So the sliding of the belt over the pulley, which causes the relative motion between the belt, is called as slip. Okay, so when the difference between the tension in tight side and slack side, when the tension between the tension in tight and the slack side, if the belt becomes greater than the force of friction, then slip will occur. Okay, so what keeps the belt engaged to the pulley is something called as the force of friction. Okay, there is something called as force of friction. So we have not gone through this entire concept of force of friction and all that, but I just want you to brief you about that. Okay, what do you mean by force of friction? Okay, so force of friction means it is actually an equation where the tension, the change in tension, difference between the tension in the tight and the slack side, is equal to mu into r, which is called as force of friction. So as long as the difference between the tensions in the tight side and slack side are equal to this force of friction, then the belt will transmit continuously, power will be transmitted in the belt. Now if the difference in the tension is greater than the force of friction, then there is a possibility of slipping. Okay, that means according to mathematically, the equation is, if delta t means change in tension between tight side and slack side, if it becomes greater than the force of friction, that is mu into r, then there is a chance of slipping. Otherwise it will be, as long as that force is equal, it will balance, the belt will go along with the pulley. But if the tension increases in belt, then there is a possibility that there may be relative motion between pulley and the belt. So that process is called as slipping, and that's a very common term used also. You understand what do you mean by slipping, right? One thing getting skidding over the other. But as far as belt is concerned, that should not happen, isn't it? So belt should actually move along with that continuously. Slipping means what? Belt will slip forward, pulley will be there only. Understand? So pulley would be rotating at certain speed, but there will be a sudden jerk in the case of belt. So that is called as slip. So if slip occurs, then that is also definitely reduces in the transmission of power, and also the velocity ratio also will be less. Okay, now what will be the effect of slip on velocity ratio? So the slip is usually expressed in terms of percentage of speed. Now suppose if we consider S1 being the percentage of slip in the driving pulley of the belt, and S2 is the percentage of slip in the driven pulley of the belt, then the total percentage slip is calculated as S1 plus S2. Okay, so that is the total amount of slip. So if there is some amount of slip that is taking place in the driving pulley and some amount of slip that is taking place in the driven pulley, then the total slip is considered as the sum of the two, S1 plus S2. Okay, so now let us see some of the advantages of belts, that is V belt drives, when compared to flat belt drives. Okay, so some of the advantages of V belts over flat belt drives are: the V belt drive gives compactness due to the small distance between centers of pulleys. That means V belts can be used for small distance between the center of the pulley. The drive is positive because the slip between the belt and pulley groove is negligible in case of V belts. Okay, so you can see in more contact will be there with the, when you compare V belt and open belt or flat belt drives. So V belt, the slippage is very less compared to that of flat belt drives. Okay, so since V belts are made endless and there is no joint trouble, therefore the drive will be smooth. Okay, this is another important observation to be made. In case of V belts, they are made as endless belts. That means they are not been cut and then joined anywhere. Whereas in case of flat belts, they are usually having for larger distance, so they will have to be joined or pinned and somewhere. So that problem will not be arising in the case of V belts. Fourth point, it provides a longer life, at least 3 to 5 years of service. Okay, it can be easily installed and easily removed. V belts can be easily installed and removed. The operation of the belt and pulley is quiet. There is no much sound between the operation in belt drives. The belts have the ability to cushion the shocks when machines are started. So belts usually made up of materials which can resist shocks. Okay, the velocity ratio will be high velocity ratio will be obtained. Okay, but when compared with gear, it is not possible. In gear, it is possible to get infinite or more number of velocity ratios, but here different velocity ratios also can be obtained. Now some of the disadvantages of belt drives. So in the V belt drive cannot be used with large center distance because of larger weight per unit length. So as an advantage, it was mentioned that V belt drives can be used for shorter distances generally, but when the length of that is long, then we cannot prefer V belt drives. Okay, the V belts are not so durable as flat belts. So if you are comparing V belts and flat belt drives, then the durability of flat belts will be much more when compared to that of V belt drives. So third one, this is one more thing I wanted to say. Third point is something important. The construction of the pulleys for V belts is more complicated than the pulleys for flat belts. It's okay. This you will have to understand either by observation, by seeing this, or because generally for flat belt drives, the pulleys also will be flat. Okay, so pulley will be absolutely, the surface of the pulley will be directly a circle or a flat surface. But when we are using a V belt drive, if you know the V belt, as I told you, they have tapered sections, right? So the pulleys which are to be designed also have to have that taper, so that it will properly fit into that groove. Okay, so the construction of the pulleys also will have to be different when we are using V belts. When we are using flat belts, it will be same, flat itself. The surface also will be flat. The belts will be just going over the pulley. But whereas when we are using V belt drive, the pulleys also have to be cut to that groove, so that the V belt will exactly fit into that. So when we do that, there will be better power transmission, all that. But what we are saying is the construction of that pulleys will be complicated when compared to that of flat belts. Okay, so the last point, since the V belts are subjected to certain amount of creep, therefore these will not be suitable in many of the cases. Okay, since the V belts are subjected to certain amount of creep, therefore these may not be suitable for particular applications like synchronous motors and generators, etc. Okay, so now we will stop here at this particular point. The problems are left in this. Okay, the problems of belt drives have to be done, as I've told you earlier in the previous lecture also, that related to length of the belt drives or related to the velocity ratios, the problems have to be solved. So the problems will be solving it in the next class. Okay, so we'll stop here. Thank you.